Well, welcome everybody to our online program about addiction and recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, British Columbia. And as you know, we define addiction in line with the great psychiatrist Viktor Frankl and more recently the psychologist Dr. Paul Wong as a response to living a life that lacks personal meaning. And if that's true, then the solution has to be to live a personally meaningful life, and therefore you get rid of the purpose of the addiction. So the question then becomes, well, what is this meaningful life and how do you live it? So we've been coming up with a series to help people understand what that means exactly. And one of the principles that we've been talking about is the idea of living life on life's terms. So now the question becomes, well, what are these life's terms? Okay, so for this video, we'll talk about one of those terms, and that is hell is other people. This idea of hell being other people was developed by a very famous French thinker, Jean-Paul Sartre, in his play No Exit. And it's a really interesting concept. That if you think about suffering, chances are you'll soon realize that a lot of the source of suffering is other people. For example, we have some fellows here who will talk about, well, they're in their garage, having their drinks and everything's okay until their partner walks through the door and catches them. Oh, and at that moment, all the suffering begins. If the partner weren't there, if the other person weren't there, they'd be fine. But it's that other person that's creating their hell. Or we've had a handful of clients who will say something along the lines of, geez, I think I should just pack everything up and move it to the middle of the woods. Right? So that those people are telling us that they figured out that hell is other people. It's all those other people who are creating the hell. If they would just go away, they wouldn't have to suffer. And the great Eugene ONeill, the great alcoholic playwright, talked about this same concept, that other people are often the source of suffering. But Eugene ONeill was a very clever fellow because he also pointed out that, as true as that may be, they're also the source of consolation, and they're the source of love, and they're the source of happiness. So there's this two sides to other people now. And for those people who want to run away to the forest and become a hermit, I don't think they're going to be very happy, right? Because they're going to be missing out on the people. They may get rid of the hell part, or actually they may bring it on just because of loneliness. And psychology seems to be backing this up, that we need people around us, even though they may be a source of suffering, but we need them, because they're also this source of joy. And what we've learned in psychology is that, or some psychologies, I'm thinking of the great psychiatrist Eugene ONeill, who will say other people are the source of how we know who we are. It is by the feedback from other people that I can figure out my identity and who I am as a person. If lots of people go around and call me a jerk, I'll probably begin thinking, geez, I'm a jerk. But if lots of people around me give me respect, maybe I'll start thinking I'm worthy of respect. It is those other people that have this profound influence on me. One of the arguments now being proposed in modern psychology is the answer to the question, why are human infants, why do they take so long to develop and become independent? Certainly doesn't happen to a dog or other animals. And the argument is, the reason it takes human infants so long to develop is they have to figure out how to live in human society. And this is a very complicated process. This isn't like a wolf joining the wolf pack. The wolf pack isn't anywhere near as complicated as human society, and the individual has to learn to live in that. And so some people say that we're actually hardwired from birth to be with other people. So this is interesting. On the one hand, again, hell is other people, but on the other hand, maybe we're hardwired from birth to be with other people. Right? And so one of the ideas of meaningful living is to figure out, how do you exist in this world of other people where you know, on the one hand, they can be the source of suffering, but on the other hand, be the source of so much else in life, right? So many of the positive and the things that make life worth living. And so to be able to understand this as part of your recovery is fundamental, absolutely fundamental to living a meaningful life. And I've personally met some hermits, and I actually haven't found them to be all that happy. Yes, maybe they've, pushed away all the things that were, irritating them. But really, in the end, the profound, people I've met at least, a profound sense of loneliness. And it's like human beings were never intended to be alone, right? And so to be able to somehow live your life in that world is a very important principle of living meaningfully. To recognize, this is what people are. Yes, if my parents get on my case, well, maybe that's just part of life, right? Or if my partner gets mad at me, well, maybe that's part of life, right? And to be able to deal with that and accept it and grow from it. Anyway, that's this video, and we'll be back next time with another one.